Okay, I guess following off the back of our NDK basics video from the other day, I wanted to do a very quick short one on the NDK CLI, which is a fun little tool that helps you just make queries and get information from Nostr using NDK, but from the command line. So to get started, for those of you who don't know what a CLI is, it just stands for Command Line Interface. They're very simple tools to just interact with things on the command line. So first thing we're going to need to do is install it. We're just going to do that from npm. I've already got it installed, so this should be fairly quick. But it's probably going to start over and just do the whole entire thing. And once this gets done, we'll go ahead and just run NDK CLI, and that way we can see what kind of help stuff it gives us, what commands it takes, what it can possibly do. So NDK CLI. If I spell it correctly. All right, perfect. So now we get back just the really simple kind of help interface that you get back when you run most type of CLIs like this. In this case, we've got a couple of different commands we can run. We can do NDK CLI profile, Zaps, tail, which takes a filter option, follows, and query. So those are the kind of 5 commands that it can do for the moment. We're going to run through each of them just very quickly so you can see what this looks like, how it works, and hopefully give you a little bit of information on how it might be useful for your workflow. So let's start with profile, and I'm going to copy over something I prepared here earlier. So this is my inpub. As we can see from that help screen before, this takes a inpub value as an argument, not a hex pub key. So you need to make sure to use an inpub. But once you run this, it's going to go out and use NDK to just query relays and come back with data. So in this case, you can see this is my profile, very quick and easy. This is a great way when you're just debugging something to dive in and try and understand, what data actually do relays have. And especially when we get into some of the queries and some of the options to tail certain queries, that can be really helpful when you're trying to do something locally and you don't want to be flipping back and forth to a client trying to just understand what's going on. So profile option obviously makes total sense, right? Another one that's really simple as well is the follows. So we'll get rid of that. Follows is just going to come back with the follows, whoever the inpub you put in there, whoever they follow. So this is just going to be a huge list of inpubs, and at the bottom it says total follows. So again, I used mine. So this is all of the inpubs that I follow, which amounts to 378 different people. This can be sometimes helpful if you want to just dig in and try to understand, do some, extra analytics or something like that. Or if you're just trying to save out your follow list in a really simple text format. Okay, we'll run this again and see what else is here. So the next thing we're going to have a quick look at is just how to run a query. And there's kind of 2 different ways to run a query. The first one is this query option here, which takes a NDK filter query as a parameter. And I'll show you there's a bit of a trick in how you have to format that. So we'll look at that in a second. The other way to run a query is this tail command. And really the difference here is that in both cases, you are providing an NDK filter object as the parameter. In the query case, it's going to go out and fetch all of the events that it can, and it's going to stop. As soon as it gets a end of stream event from one of the relays, that's the end, and it's just going to stop sending you data. The tail, on the other hand, starts a subscription. So it's kind of the difference in NDK of using fetch events versus creating a subscription and then listening for that subscription. So if you were just wanting to get some data back one time only and see what you get, query is the right command to use. If you are trying to keep an eye on something and see what happens, tail is the right one to use. So to start, actually, what I'd love to do is, because sometimes tail can take a little while to start showing data, what we're going to do is I'm going to paste in a command here, and we'll walk through it very quickly. So again, we're using the tail command. We've got authors. This is the filter object, right? So this is an NDK filter. This is the query that you would use when you're writing code. The only difference is that this needs to be in a JSON string format. So wrap it in single quotes and then use double quotes within the object itself. around all of the keys of the object. If you format it this way, it'll work fine, and you'll be off to the races. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and we'll run this. I don't expect to see anything happen here straight away. So we'll come back and check on this in a second. But in the meantime, I'll just open up a new tab. We'll make this really big again. That's probably good enough. And then in the meantime, I'll grab a query so that you can see what happens when we run a simple just query. And again, this is using my hex pub key. This is not looking for in pubs because this is an NDK filter object. It's looking for hex pub keys. And we're going to query for kind1 events from me, basically. So this is going to probably just dump a huge amount of data. It'll come back with everything it can possibly find from the relays that are configured, which in the CLI at the moment, it defaults to a couple of the standard, larger relays. So Nostr band, Damus, purple pages, things like that. So this is exactly what you would expect, right? We queried for kind1 events from me, and we got back a huge number of kind1 events from me. It's exactly basically what you would expect. Let's go back over here and see. Oh, so now we can see that our good friend Dave, the GPT bot, has been replying to people. And this is basically the tailed, newer events that are coming back. And so when you run tail, you're not going to get all the historic events. You're only going to get events that happen from that point forward, which can be really, really helpful while you're debugging something. So if you want to make sure you are sending events of a certain kind in the right format or the right structure, this is the right way to do it. So you can see here that these are timestamps. This is who he's replying to, which is kind of a shortening of I guess, interesting. I guess that's a hex pub key. And then you've got the actual content of his message. And so message, there's a new one that just popped up. So again, tail can be really, really helpful. So we'll kill that with Command C or Control C. And then the last one, let's just go ahead and look here again. So we've done profile, we've gone through follows, we've looked at the difference between query and tail, and let's look at Zaps very quickly. Zaps is a bit like follows in the sense that it's going to take an in-pub and it's going to come back with all of the data about that specific in-pub in terms of Zaps. So let me grab this command here. And you can see again, my in-pub, we're looking for all Zaps, and this will give you back the Zaps that were inbounds to that person. So all of the Zaps that have come in to me, this is a giant list of those. And you can see here, it's pretty cool. It's actually got the date, the time, it has the person, and it has the amount that was zapped. And then if there was a comment left on the zap, that shows up here in these parentheses. And again, this is a bit of an interesting one because this is more of a tail event. It will stay open and it will keep looking for new zaps, but it does kind of sort in the wrong direction at the moment. I'll probably go and fix that after this just to make this make a little more sense. I think the reason partially for that is that this is just asking relays for all the data back, and in almost all cases, relays will send the data back in reverse chronological order. So you will have all of the data, the newest data first. So if we go back here to the top, you can see newest data first, and then it'll go back to the back. This does leave open a subscription though. So new Zaps should start to show up here at the bottom as you wait for it. Okay, cool. That's pretty much everything there is about NDK CLI. Again, very quick and easy to create, very quick and easy to kind of use for debugging purposes or just to pull out some data. And those query objects can be as complicated a query as you can make with any part of NDK. So you can look for, all kind1s from lots of different in-pubs. You can look for all Zaps or all, lists from users. You can do, time-bound queries, so you can query for things only since yesterday or, things like that. So hopefully this is helpful. Let me know. And I would say if you've got any ideas for other stuff that you'd love to see in NDK CLI, please drop it in the comments because I think it's quick and easy to add new commands to this. And I think the only reason it's kind of as simple as it is because there's only a handful of us using it at the moment. So if there's something we can add, let's do it. All right, I think that's it for now, and good to see you guys again, and I'll talk to you soon.